Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for coming today. We know it's a bit of a busy day for a lot of people. It's a big news day, and we really appreciate that you guys are taking the time to be with us to learn more about Key School. Of course, we wish we were welcoming you all here on campus. It's a beautiful day. Would have been a perfect day for our open house. You would have had a chance to obviously explore campus, check out our classrooms, meet our teachers and students and current parents face to face. But the overarching goal of open house is really an introduction to the school. And we feel that while today we wish we were in person, we do think that we'll be able to tell you enough about Key School to give you that introduction and give you a sense of other areas that you want to research further. Before I get started, I just want to say the advice that I give and my colleagues give throughout the admission season to families is to really focus on the school's philosophy, the teaching and learning philosophy. If that's the right fit, then you can take those steps to learn more about the other details. So thinking about it that way, I'm going to get started by giving you some of the overarching facts, and then I'll let my colleagues show you what it looks like for us here on campus. Key School has students in here from 2.5 years to 12th grade. We have 645 students. The upper school typically ranges between 214 and 220 students, 111 faculty. Our average class size is 16, which is why we're able to teach the way we teach, and you'll learn more about that momentarily. The 6-to-1 ratio, student to faculty ratio, is so important. It's never been more important than this year with obviously our need to spread out in small groups. Our students come from 73 different zip codes, 264 different sending schools. So we have students coming from many different schools. 11 countries, and the percentage of our students of color is 35%. Last admission season, so the one leading into this school year, we had 127 new students. They came from 71 different sending schools. Our acceptance rate was right around 48%. 36% of our new families are on need-based financial aid, and the average award for last admission season was $10,000. That has ranged somewhere between 10 and 13 over this 5 years I've been at Key School. In terms of campus, again, we wish we were walking you through campus right now. One of the reasons that I wanted to start the program with a longer slideshow was to ensure that you got a sense of space, give you sort of a context in which what Key looks like. And so we have 16 buildings. We have a 15-acre main campus here, which is what you saw primarily. And then obviously the video towards the end of the slideshow shifted to our brand new 70-acre athletic park over in Annapolis Roads. I always like to juxtapose our teaching philosophy with outcomes, because for a lot of parents, when they hear about our depth over breadth approach, that we would rather have children struggle with complex material and really get a deep understanding of concepts instead of just memorizing facts. Nothing wrong with being able to go on Jeopardy and do well, but in the real world, you have information. We all have these now, right? So rote memorization is a nice skill to have, but it shouldn't be the only skill we're honing day in and day out. And Key School is truly committed to teaching and developing the 21st century skills that kids need. And you'll hear about that throughout this presentation. But I do meet a lot of parents that are worried. What does that mean when it comes time to take the SAT? Or what does that mean for getting into college? And that's why we show this information. Our students, while we're not teaching them every day to take a test, and we're not giving them APs in 9th grade, we're teaching kids how to think for themselves, how to do research, how to use primary sources, how to work in groups, how to complete a project. We're getting them ready for case studies. We're getting them ready for the real world. While it may seem counterculture for us to show this slide, I always do that because I want parents to know that they can have both. They can have the experience they want their children to have, and those outcomes are still really, really strong. We're going to go into a quick video about inquiry-based learning, and then I'm going to turn things over to my colleague, the head of the upper school, Brian Michaels. Brian Michaels.
Tom, thanks so much. Thanks so much for playing that video. Again, my name is Brian Michaels. I'm the upper school head at Key. I've had that position for 7 years. I've been at the school for 15. Tom and I were talking a little bit earlier before this event about yesterday's school day. Tom took some video that was a little too long to show today, but I spent a lot of time walking around the school yesterday. It was a beautiful weather day. It's a challenging day in terms of what's going on the news for students, and spent a lot of time just talking to teachers and students yesterday. And the snapshot really reaffirmed what I love about Key. We had a dance technique class going on under one of our tents outside, where we could bring students from different pods that we're teaching from during the pandemic and have them be engaged and outside and together in a safe way. There was a math class going on. I think it was an Algebra 2 class with kids out in tents and having a lot of engagement together. And there was also a humanities class. You'll hear about our humanities program next, but they were inside. There was one pod together that's learning together in that classroom, and the teacher was zooming in students who've chosen to be off campus and also students from other parts of the school. And seeing that engagement was really wonderful too. So, you know, even though we're in the pandemic, it really felt like a good school day. Just a little background on that, you know, we were in virtual learning all last spring, like many other schools, and then we shifted to have some on-campus learning. So our youngest students through our fourth graders are on campus 5 days a week, and our older students, fifth grade through 12th grade, come to school 5 out of 10 days. And we're constantly looking at the metrics in the state to see whether we can increase that or have to decrease that, make sure our students are safe and that we can provide them the best education that we can. I think next Tom might be showing a slide that we put together that has our schedule, our traditional school schedule that was prior to the pandemic. So as I've learned in being in schools for 20 or more years, one of the most important currencies in a school is time. And so we decided a few years ago to change our schedule, and we really had 3 big goals. We wanted to have longer blocks for deeper learning. So you'll see on the schedule 85-minute blocks. We wanted to have more opportunities for office hours so that, you know, one of the hallmarks of our school is the connection between students and teachers working together and co-creating knowledge. So the idea was, how can we give them more time to do that outside of the academic time? So we developed a number of spaces in the schedule. You'll see in the mid-morning and in the mid-afternoon for that type of connection between students and teachers. And lastly, we wanted to make sure our co-curriculars, Model Congress, Model UN, our investing program, our robotics program, our student affinity groups had really ample time, and they're all extensions of our curriculum. So we really try to be innovative with the way that we do things at the school. Something else I want to point out, and Tom mentioned it earlier, is just the philosophy of what we do as a school. And you've already heard it, and you'll probably hear a little bit more today, but we really focus on discussion-based courses. We focus on limiting textbooks and maximizing primary sources. And we focus on limiting memorization and maximizing interdisciplinary learning. And so anytime we're thinking about our curriculum, we're thinking about the direction of the school, we're thinking about the experience that students and teachers have, we really use that as a framework to look at the changes we make. I guess the last thing I want to share is when I took this job, I was really adamant about maintaining being a teacher in the classroom. That's what brought me into teaching, and I wanted to maintain that. So I have that neat perspective and look into it with our faculty. I teach an oceanography class. That's where my background is as a scientist before going into administration. So I teach an oceanography class to 20 juniors and seniors, and it's a great way to apply the interdisciplinary learning students have done through our science program. And also here and there, and I feel fortunate when I get the chance, and I think we all do as faculty, we'll have a student actually ask us to be a partner with them in what we call independent studies. And so that's an opportunity for seniors to design their own class. And it has a graduate school level feel to it. It's one-on-one. The student can choose any topic they want across our curriculum, and it's usually an extension of something they enjoy in the curriculum. So the most recent one I did was a year ago with a student who really wanted to get into cetacean, whale physiology and ecology. So she had me reading, I think we read 3 pretty dense textbooks during that semester, and it was a great education for me. And she really drove the class. A lot of learning from that. We've had independent studies on applied mathematics, really upper level mathematics. We've had independent studies where a student has looked at a Supreme Court decision and really deconstructed it, looked at the history of that and its impact. So the independent studies are really wonderful. But I'm going to go ahead and I can keep going about the school. I really do love it. But I'm going to go ahead and stop. We're going to transition to having you hear from faculty and then eventually a panel with students as well.